Alright, I'm gonna do a video on the ENTJ personality because I mean there are just no ENTJ videos on YouTube. It's really ridiculous. We're grossly underrepresented, so I want to throw this video out there and see what people think about it. But I'm an ENTJ, okay, and that stands for extroverted, intuitive, thinking, judging, and you know, it took me a while to even find out what I was. For a long time, I thought I was an ESTJ, but that was before I really got into studying all the types. When I actually started looking at the descriptions of all the types, ESTJ is close to an extent, but I didn't think, I don't think I understood the difference between sensing and intuition at the time when I first took the test. So after looking at the ENTJ description, that is by far, the most accurate description of who I am. So that's what I'm going to roll with until somebody's able to, prove me wrong. That's what it is. But as an ENTJ, very logical person. I use logic for pretty much, everything that I do. Things have to make sense or else they're going to be rejected by me. I am future oriented. I look at the past to a certain degree, but I don't generally value it as much as I value what could be. So I like to look at future considerations and what can be accomplished. If a situation has the potential to, be good, bad, or indifferent in the future. So I definitely lean that way. Um, as far as the tertiary and inferior functions, you know what? I think that I don't think those functions are counters to the dominant and auxiliary functions. I think that they are used just to lesser degrees. I think that the shadow functions aren't necessarily used hardly at all, but I do use extroverted sensing because I am sports minded. I play sports, even to this day. And I'm in my 30s or whatever, but I still play sports. I always have liked sports. I always have physical type activities. And then as far as the introverted feeling goes, which is my inferior function, true enough, I don't dominate with feeling at all, not close to it. But when I do feel things, the feeling that I have is generally internal, and it's all about, what I value, what I feel is, just. I would say that my least developed function is extroverted feeling, which is the opposite of introverted feeling. So extroverted feeling for me would be, eighth, in my function order. And I would have to say that that's correct because I almost exclusively don't care about what other people think or feel. I mean, not to say that I don't care about them per se, but it just means that, when I make decisions, I don't make decisions based on, a community collective, or how other people in the situation are necessarily feeling at the time. I make decisions based on what I feel. And if other people don't feel, the way I feel about it, and I guess it's just too bad. But so definitely, I think there's no question that I'm an ENTJ. I think that the Myers-Briggs, um, system has really been helpful for me to understand who I am, and also to understand those around me because I grew up around a ton of sensors, and it's been kind of challenging. My mother, for example, is an ESFP, so that was interesting. And interestingly enough, the ESFP has all of the ENTJ functions just in a different order. Okay, the ESFP dominates with extroverted sensing, and I dominate with extroverted thinking. So the ESFP does a lot of impulsive things. Okay, and they're very, go with the flowish, disorganized. Don't really have a plan type. And I'm, more, logical. Organized, direct. Usually have a plan or some kind of organizational structure that I'm using to make a decision. So you can understand my frustration growing up, having to deal with a parent who dominates with extroverted sensing. Very, very um, um, unpredictable, you know, and it was interesting. I will say that it was interesting. I'm going to argue that ESFPs and ESTPs alike, who both dominate with extroverted sensing, almost shouldn't have kids. I'm gonna I'm gonna almost argue that, okay? And if they do have any, they can't have any more than like, two or something like that, because then they'll be overwhelmed, and the kids may be neglected at that point. But in all seriousness, though, I like being an ENTJ. I do think that it gets me in trouble at times because I can be so straightforward and direct. It really, takes people off guard. People are taken aback, by my straightforwardness at times, and they almost, I think, can't believe that I said what I said. It's like, is he serious? And I'm dead serious. but, but you know, it's a situation where I'm telling the truth. 9 times out of 10, I don't tell, lies very often because I don't really fear the consequences generally of telling the lie. So I just tell the truth because, basically, what are you going to do? I mean, if I tell the truth, I mean, either you like it or you don't, and that's it. you know. But I think that a lot of people are used to being politically correct, especially feelers, especially extroverted feelers, and there's a lot of feelers in the population, more so than thinkers, you know, um, and especially extroverted feelers, a lot of extroverted feelers, and so extroverted feeling for me is my least preferred function. So I don't tend to agree with extroverted feelers a ton. Like what they value, I don't tend to value. We get along okay, don't get me wrong, for short periods of time, but for any length of time, I would have to get away from an extroverted feeler because they're going to value things that I can probably give less than a rat's ass about, and vice versa. To be honest, I don't want to just say it's just me who doesn't care about what they think. They don't care about the things that I value generally either. You know, so it is what it is. But definitely, um, and as an ENTJ, because ENTJs are rare, I've had a hard time, finding other NT types. I mean, obviously, if I were to, I guess, if I were to major in like science, engineering, or something like that, I probably, would have come across more NTs because they tend to be more technical in nature. They tend to value, areas of complexity. They value knowledge. They tend to understand science and engineering and more complex material with greater ease. For whatever reason, just the way that their mind works. So you know, it is what it is. But I definitely wish I knew more NTs, and really intuitives in general. I like because even the NFs, the couple of NFs that I do know and have known, get along with them really really well. Um, they usually can't go into complexities as deeply as I can because of the lack of the thinking function. Uh, you know, but but the intuition allows us to stay on the same page. Okay, it allows us to see the big picture. If nothing else. So I think that's a point of you know uh, unity right there, and so I do appreciate that about them. Sensors, I'm not gonna lie, they tend to get on my nerves largely, even though I don't mind them. I just don't want to be around them for a ton of time. But I do value all the personality types. Every type has something to bring to the table. But definitely, if I would like to stay energized, probably talking to an intuitive, at least, is the way to go, and especially an intuitive thinker. I'm on a quest actually to get to know more NTs. I really don't know enough, and because I grew up with, like I said, sensors. My mother's an ESFP, like I said before. My grandmother's an ESFJ, and I know that. And you know, um, you know, several of my girlfriends have been, sensors, ESFJ, ISFJ. Um, the ISFJ was really challenging to deal with, by the way. Yeah, that was interesting. But no, definitely. After learning about Myers-Briggs and everything like that, and looking at all the descriptions of the personalities, I really, really, really like the intuitives. I'm glad that I'm intuitive. Seeing the big picture for me, has been really great. Because not everybody can naturally do that. So definitely shout out to all NTs out there, and really intuitives in general, but definitely NTs because that's what I am. I'll be making more videos in the near future to expand upon things a little bit further. But this was fun, and I'll see you all later. Bye.